I might be more notes-based than anyone else, so I do kind of apologize for that. But just a little bit about me. My name is Sarah Beesley, and I teach 7th grade math at Aspen Middle School. This is my 14th year teaching and my 10th year teaching some form of math. And my original degree, or my master's degree, was in secondary math and science, and I went the science route. That was my major in college. But I really enjoyed teaching math and kind of finding the challenges and how to make this authentic for students in math class. So 10 years ago, I switched over to full-time just teaching math. And because that wasn't necessarily where my training was, I knew I needed to find some professional development. How can I become a better math teacher? And that led me to this whole concept of what's called a math teacher's circle. And basically what it is about a bunch of math teachers sitting together and doing math problems. So it's really built on this idea of collaboration. You really need to be expected to work with groups of people, to share the ideas with groups of people, and to really kind of hash out what you're thinking with different groups of people, which then leads to this whole idea of open conversations. And that can be a really nerve-wracking thing. As a teacher, you're supposed to be the expert in your content area, and here you are kind of putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, saying, well, I'm not really sure, maybe this is an idea we can look at to help us solve this math problem. And then kind of that open conversation really leads to all these different ideas. And then, like the kids, we would split up and say, well, you try this, you try this, you try this, and apply those ideas that you're able to generate as a group of people. But then, as we all know, you try some ideas, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So you really have to go back through that open conversation and the generation of ideas and say, okay, what's working, what's not, how can we go ahead and refine our thinking even just a little bit more? And then that, of course, leads to some even more new ideas. And depending on your results, these new ideas might be formulated, and then that whole inquiry cycle starts all over again. So, as a teacher, this is the type of thing that I ask my students to do all the time, right? I think all of us here are like, we need to work on problem solving, we need to work on problem solving. And as we all know, that's hard to do. And the math teacher circles put us in that position. You are now that problem solver, and that's a really interesting position to be in. So if you're a math geek like me, this sounds like the best thing to do, right? You're sitting around all day solving math problems. But there is an application then into your classroom as well. So that's why I would encourage anyone to kind of think about these ideas. But it applies directly to our classroom. And one of the biggest benefits I have found is that putting myself in that vulnerable position of trying to generate new ideas and testing those new ideas, it helps me really empathize with students' challenges, but then also their successes. And then, as we all know, Colorado is one of the states that adopted the Common Core state standards. And the huge emphasis we have right now on problem solving and critical thinking, and not just in mathematics, but in all areas of study. And so the math teacher circle really encompasses that whole idea of critical thinking and problem solving, and really asking, and then tying that into the Common Core. What we're doing is we're really asking students to look at complex materials and justify their reasoning, kind of like I had to do when I was solving those math problems. And then the problem solving component. Okay, you have these complex problems. How can I use the information that I have to help me make a conclusion? And these are the types of connections that we're trying to help our students make all the time in our classrooms. In addition to the Common Core state standards in mathematics, we have the standards for mathematical practices, which is an extension of just our basic standards, the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And it's really this whole idea of perseverance. That's number one, right? Keep trying, even when problems are really, really hard. And this whole idea of critical thinking, this whole idea of problem solving, and that's 50% of my standards that I need to be teaching in class. And again, exposing myself to that through the math teacher circle really helps me kind of figure that out. So my classroom, oh my gosh, my cards are out of order. My classroom, kids all sit in groups. They do a lot of discussion. This was a problem that I had for them right before Thanksgiving break. Pretty complex problem. Basically, you're going from point A to point B, 40 miles per hour, then point B to point A at 60 miles per hour. What's your average? Most people would say, I don't know, right? Or at least most 7th grade math students would. Or they would say it's 50 miles per hour. That's our quick, easy answer to that. 40 plus 60 is 100, divided by 2 is 50. But when you really delve deep into that and really think about that critical thinking and that problem solving, you come up with the correct answer. You spend a lot more time going 40 miles per hour than 60. So, whole idea of Math Teacher Circle is to help put you in the place of being a student so that you can take that back into your classrooms and help really encourage kids to think.